then just by listening to Rafi, he can become a very good singer because Rafi was a complete encyclopedia of every type of song. That Rafi, whatever he was singing on stage, his recording was exactly the same. There was no difference between the recorded singing in a studio and what he was singing on stage. And I often wondered at that time that Rafi has just sung 5 minutes ago highest pitch song, O Duniya Ke Rakhwale, and the same Rafi who could sing at that highest pitch is now speaking in such a low voice which is almost inaudible. Hello viewers of Great Legends. I am Amarjeet Singh Kohli and I am again going to talk to you about Mohammed Rafi and my direct experience with him. I have been organizing stage musical shows for the last 54 years in Delhi, and I started organizing singing competitions in memory of Mohammed Rafi from 1984. The society under which we used to organize these singing competitions was called Yaad Kare Rafi Society. I got a chance to have a direct interaction with Rafi in a musical program in which I got involved. That was the golden time. As I was sitting close to him, I could have exchanged a few words with him. I was only 28 years old at that time. So when I told him, Rafi ji, मैं भी अमृतसर ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜੰਮਿਆ. I am also born in Amritsar, and since he is also born in Amritsar, that established an on-the-spot rapport, and he was very happy and he was so nice to me and started talking in Punjabi. However, there was one difficulty, and that was that Rafi used to speak in such a low tone voice which was not easily audible. I had to bring my ears close to him to be able to hear, and I still missed some words because simultaneously Mr. Khurana was reciting his couplets. And I often wondered at that time that Rafi has just sung 5 minutes ago highest pitch song, O Duniya Ke Rakhwale, and the same Rafi who could sing at that highest pitch is now speaking in such a low voice which is almost inaudible. But later on, I was told by his daughter Yasmin and son-in-law Parvez who used to be present in Rafi programs which continued later on, that even in house he used to speak very slowly. One thing I noticed, that Rafi whatever he was singing on stage, his recording was exactly the same. There was no difference between the recorded singing in a studio and what he was singing on stage. But this difference has been there in many other playback singers, because when they come to stage, there is some difference between what was recorded in the studio and what they are singing in a live show. I think Rafi is the only singer who had practiced so much and who could really reproduce exactly every syllable in the same way as was done in the recording. Another thing, my suggestion, in fact, nobody has ever thought of it or not, I don't know. The universities, some university in India should start a course based purely on Rafiji's music, his songs. There is so much variety in his songs. On one side, you have classical songs, you have romantic songs, you have bhajans, you have shabads, and you have comedy songs, all kind of songs. There's such a huge variety that I feel if any singer is given a course by which he is taught these are the various types of songs of Rafiji, then just by listening to Rafiji, he can become a very good singer because Rafiji was a complete encyclopedia of every type of song. He has even done yodeling. So, like Kishore Kumar, even that he has done. So, this is a suggestion worth considering that a course should be opened in some university by which students should be taught how to sing through listening to the Rafiji songs. That is merely a suggestion. Now, about Rafiji's nature. Now, no doubt Rafiji is the greatest singer in my eyes and perhaps in the eyes of many others, but I feel that his nature, his sweet nature, his humility, his, his sympathy for the poor people, and no pride, this kind of nature was something which hardly anyone else could have of that type. So, very good singing and very nice nature, that was his uniqueness. Now, I often meet many people from the film world as well as other world, and I have never seen anybody talking ill of Rafiji. Each and every person has spoken about his good qualities, about his humility, about that he was not at all after money. Many music directors who used to be new and came to him and used to tell him, Rafiji, I have just started, I may not have that much money to pay you, but if you sing for me, my career will take a jump. And Rafiji was so nice. He said, you come, I will sing free of cost for you also. And he did. Now, one of the music directors, I was told by his son-in-law, Parvez ji, he left some money in the envelope, but who had said, but Rafiji has said, I will take no money. So he called that music director back and gave him his envelope containing money back and said, when you are established, then only I will charge. So, and another thing is that he never dealt with money directly. It was his brother-in-law, Zahir ji, who used to deal with money, and he would never demand a sum. So that was, I think, in this film world where money matters so much, Rafiji was a unique person who would stand aloof from the others. One thing more, he's used to help so many poor people by regularly sending them money orders. Now, this fact was not even known to his wife, and it was only revealed when Rafi died and the money order stopped going to those people, some of them came to Bombay to inquire, and then only they came to know that Rafi is no more, because in villages sometimes the news does not travel. So Rafi would give money to anybody who needed it, maybe the lowest person. And it was at that time that his wife and his family knew that he was spending so much money on helping the poor, but without telling anyone. Now, that is such a unique quality, and I don't think this kind of quality many people in the film world have. Now, his humility and about some of his interactions, I want to tell you one incident about Mr. O.P. Nayyar. O.P. Nayyar used to employ Mohammed Rafi's voice for most of his songs, and they were very, very successful songs, as you would all know, and they were best of the friends. One day, during a recording, Mohammed Rafi reached his recording a bit late because earlier to that he was recording a song for Shankar Jaikishan and he got stuck in the traffic and was a bit late. Now, O.P. Nayyar was basically a very punctual man. His recording started dot on time, and he would free the musicians even by lunchtime, and who were very happy with that practice. But he was also at the same time a very proud man. And we all know he never used the voice of Lata Mangeshkar due to certain reasons. So when Rafi reached late and he explained to him why he was late, O.P. Nayyar was very much angry and a proud man and said that, so you care more for Shankar Jaikishan? Now you stop coming to this studio. I will not have you for my recording. And he was such an egotist. He stuck to his words. He never used Rafi's voice for almost 2 years. Instead, he used Mahinder Kapoor's voice, and Rafi tried to persuade him, tried to approach him, and so that he can be explained further or sort of. But O.P. Nayyar was adamant. Rafi sent him Semia also. One day Rafi, after 2 years, decided to directly land at his house. So when the two old friends, who were the best of the friends, met once again after 2 years, both started weeping. And O.P. Nayyar said, Rafi, तू आज मेरे से बहुत बड़ा हो गया. Rafi, you are a very great man. I have insulted you. I have punished you for such a small trivial matter. But you have come here. I am very low in comparison to what your status is. And the two friends again started doing programs together. In these 2 years, Mahinder Kapoor got chance. Many female singers uh, uh, used to sing also with Mahinder Kapoor and some others. There is another issue which perhaps many people know already, that is about the copyright issue. Now, Earlier at that time, only records used to be issued and gramophone records, and some of the records used to sell in very great number, and the producers and the copyright holders used to make lot of money out of those sales. This happened somewhere in early 60s. I think perhaps this film Janam Janam Ke Phere Mere Samne To Aajo Chaliye, who just stood first in the Binaka Geet Mala I used to hear, 1957 or so. So Lata Mangeshkar ji was always for the rights of the uh, artist, and she was of the opinion that if the producer and copywriter holder is making lot of money, he must share some money with the singers, with the music directors and others. But during those days, the contract which Rafi ji used to sign and other singers used to sign was one-time payment. That was the practice. So Rafi ji was of the opinion, and he was persuaded by copyright holders to have this view that no money should be charged further. Now this issue became big, and there were differences between Lata Mangeshkar and Rafi ji, and both of them did not sing any songs together for a few years. And during that period, new female singers, new male singers came on came on the scene. But even Lata Mangeshkar ji later did not blame Rafi ji for anything. She simply said Rafi ji was too simple-hearted a person, and he was manipulated by the clever copyright holders. She never blamed Rafi ji for anything at all, and always talked high about him. So this is another thing, such high opinion, even with somebody with which you have a serious fight over some issue. That is something. Now I want to tell you some story about this shirt which I am wearing. Now this shirt has a story linked with Rafi ji. It so happened that I went to UK for 2 months, and there one day while shopping I purchased this shirt for £1. Now after 2 days, news travelled in London that Rafi ji had died on the same day on which I had purchased this shirt, and that date was 31st July 1980, 40 years ago. So after that, I decided that I will preserve this shirt for all times till I last. And I have done it. I wear this shirt only 3 or 4 times in a year on some specific occasions, because this shirt reminds me of my meeting Rafi ji 50 years ago in 1970. And I feel so much closeness with a man whom I have respect the most out of all. And you may even wonder that I have worn it on very historic occasions only. I remember in 1984, Amitabh Bachchan ji had received Padma Shri. So we decided on behalf of Lions Club Green Park, of which I was a member, to organize a function in which the Delhi organizers would present him some souvenirs. So I presented him a souvenir, and I was wearing the same shirt. I have a photograph which is from 1984, 36 years old. I'm wearing the same shirt, and I would send it to Mr. Vinod Wipler if we can display it along with what I am saying. So this is the closeness I have always felt about Rafiji. In the end, I would like to thank the viewers of great legends for listening to me once again, this time in English, for the benefit of those viewers who have some difficulty in understanding Hindi. And I am again grateful to Mr. Vinod Viplo for starting such a great series which talks about old legends. If you have any question or any query, please do write to me at With Great Legends. I will be most glad to respond to that, and I will interact on any other issue which you would like to bring. I have only to say this. Thank you, viewers of Great Legends.